So I'm super excited about these projects that we're doing today. So we're going to be customising 4 cushion covers. 2 of the projects are completely no sew, and then the other 2 projects do involve a little bit of hand sewing, but nothing too technical. You don't need to be an expert sewist. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first project I'm going to show you is how to add tassels and add them to your cushions that you already have. So you will need yarn, quite a large chunky needle. You'll need some board or cardboard. You will also need some scissors. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cardboard. So the board that I'm using and where I'm wrapping it around is about just under 12 centimetres wide, which is giving you a decent sized tassel. So obviously we just need to start wrapping it around the board. So I wrapped it around about 15 times. So once you've wrapped it round, next thing you want to do is get another length of yarn, probably about another 20 centimetres, and just cut that off. And then we want to feed that underneath the yarn that we've just wrapped around the board, like so. And then we want to shift that all the way up to the edge of the board, and then we want to tie a double knot to make sure it's secure. Okay, and then once you've done that, you want to snip it off at the other end, so it looks like this, and then you want to cut off another bit of yarn, probably about 60 centimetres. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop. So you've got obviously a longer tail, and then you want a shorter tail, and that just loops back on itself like this. And then you want to take your tassel, just make sure it's all nice and smooth, and then you want to place your loop on top of your tassel, and making sure that the short tail is sticking out at the top. And then you're going to take your longer tail and you're going to wrap that around, making sure the short end tail is staying at the top, and you just want to keep wrapping that round until you get your desired sort of thickness. And you also want to make sure that the loop is staying visible at the other end. It's probably easy for you to see what I'm doing in the film. And then once you've wrapped it around enough times, you want to thread your tail that you've just been wrapping around through that loop at the bottom, like so. And then once that's through, you want to grab hold of the short tail at the top, and then you just want to pull that taut so it's nice and tight. And then you just want to snip the short tail off so it's nice and close to the wrap. And then I just snipped the longer thread off the same length as the rest of the tassel. And then you want to just give your tassel a little bit of a haircut like that, and there you have a tassel. So I made 4 of these, so obviously you just need to repeat that however many tassels you want to add to your cushion. So now you just want to grab your cushion and your needle, and then we can attach the tassels onto the cushion. So now what you want to do is take your tassel, and with one of the tail ends you want to thread that onto your needle, and then we're going to attach that onto the corner of the cushion. Or you want to thread that through on your corner, like so. You only just need to thread it through, so then you can just pull your needle through and the thread through. It did take me a bit of force to get these ones through, just because obviously the thread was quite thick. So yeah, you might just need to have a bit of force and a bit of willpower to get it through, and a bit of a wiggle. And then once you've got it through, just make sure you pull it all the way through, and then you can remove your needle. And then you just need to make sure that tail that you've already threaded through doesn't come back through, and then you just want to do it with the other tail. So yeah, once you've got both tails through, just want to make sure they're nice and tight on the inside, and then just pull them through, and then you just want to again just create a double knot to make sure it's nice and secure, and then snip any excess thread off, like so. And then you just obviously want to repeat that on each corner, or as many times as you want, depending on if you want more tassels. So then once you're done, you'll have something like this, and then we just need to put your cushion pad in, and then you'll have a nice lovely cushion. Next project is Shibori. So I have used just a plain canvas cushion cover. You can pick up reasonably priced plain cotton cushion covers from IKEA or places like Amazon. So what you'll need is some string. You can also use elastic bands. Unfortunately I didn't have any. You can use pegs. I've got some wooden sticks as well. Oh, and you also need your dye. So traditionally Shibori is done with a blue indigo dye. I chose to do it with a dark green. However, you will see when it comes out it's not that green, it's more blue to be fair. So with Shibori there's quite a few different techniques. So I chose to go for like a folded technique, but you can sort of also bunch the fabric up, put stitches in it. If you go onto places like Pinterest you'll find various different techniques that you can use. So I just decided to fold it in various directions. So yeah, once you've folded it up and wrapped it how you wanted, then the next step is to prep your dye. So obviously with the dye, it just depends on obviously what type of dye you're using. It's a simple case of obviously following the instructions for your dye that you've got. So once you've got your dye bath ready, next thing is to obviously place your cushion cover into the dye bath. So I left mine in for about 20 minutes. Unfortunately, I forgot to film me removing the cushion cover, so I took it out, placed it in the sink, gave it a good rinse, removing all the string and wooden sticks, etc. And then once I'd given it a good rinse, I then placed it into the washing machine to make sure any excess dye was removed. And this is how it turned out. So I'm actually super pleased with it, even though it's not the colour I kind of expected. But yeah, looks really good, really pleased, and super easy to do. The next project is painting. So we are going to be using acrylic paint, some fabric medium, and then obviously you'll need a plain cushion. I would suggest something that's quite relatively smooth. I did test this paint on some velvet. It didn't work, so don't use velvet, definitely don't use velvet. And then obviously you want paintbrush, mixing dish, so you can mix your paint medium and acrylic. You will also need something to draw out your design with. So I'm using a fixation pen which disappears with heat, so you don't need to worry about it permanently marking your fabric. So first thing to do is obviously start drawing out your design. So I went for like a fern leaf design. Obviously if you feel comfortable you can just freehand your painting. Once you've drawn out your design, that's where you want to obviously mix up your paint. So the fabric medium that I've got is a basically 50-50 mix, but obviously depending on what fabric medium you just need to check the instructions for it. So yeah, we just mixed up the paint. I did place some paper inside the cushion just to protect it. I didn't know how much paint would have bled through onto the other side of the cushion, so I just put that in there just to protect it. Once I've done that, then we just started painting. So I mean, depending on your design, obviously it will depend on how long it will take you, but I just went for simple black design. But obviously you could add loads of different colours. You could just, yeah, be super creative with this, but I just wanted to keep it simple. So once I'd finished painting, the next step is to iron to fix the paint to the fabric. So with the fabric medium I was using, it advised me to use paper over the paint, so I had to iron it for about 5 minutes. But again, depending on what fabric medium, depends on obviously what the process is, so obviously just check your instructions on your fabric medium that you're using. So yes, that was all. Once that was all done, it was just a case of popping your cushion pad inside, and hey presto, you have a cushion with a bit of a unique design on it. Okay, so this one is probably the most sewing involved project. It is all hand sewing, so you don't actually need a sewing machine for this. So basically I've got this pom-pom trim, but obviously you can use any type of trim. You'll just want some thread and some scissors. The other option to attach your trim is to use fabric glue. I mean, that is another option if you want to go completely no sew. But obviously on this occasion I chose to hand sew the trim on. So basically what I did was just obviously cut my trim to the length of my cushions, like so. I used fabric clips actually to attach it. I made sure that the cut ends were just folded back on themselves, just to make sure that it gave me a nice clean finish. So once that was all clipped on, it was just obviously a case of hand stitching the trim to the cushion. So when I did this, I just made sure that I kept the trim as close to the actual seam edge to make sure it looked professionally finished. So I basically did that down one side, and then I did it down the other side of the cushion edge. Obviously you could attach trim going right across the cushion or multiple different directions. It's entirely up to you, obviously, how you do that, but this is how I did mine. Turned out really great, really pleased with it, and it's just a little lift to a very basic cushion. So here are all the cushions finished. I'm so pleased with how they've turned out, and they all look really good together as well. Obviously I've added other cushions that I already had, but yeah, looks fantastic. Very pleased. And if you did enjoy this video, then please do subscribe down below, and if you've got any questions at all, please do comment, and I'll see you again soon.